When our values are under assault, when our sovereignty is invaded, when our Constitution is in tatters, when political correctness is on the march, it's time to mobilize. The war of ideas has begun. Welcome to the Arsenal. Welcome to the Kris Koback Show.
I can't believe the news today. Oh, I can't close my eyes.
Do not touch your radio dial. Do not touch your radio dial. Are we on the air? I think we are on the air. Yes. Coming to you from a bunker buried deep below Kansas City. I can't disclose exactly which municipality. We are on the air. Yes, even though civilization as we know it has nearly come to an end. Oh, wait. I think the stormtroopers are outside again. All right. Yeah, we're still on the air. Yeah, the Kris Koback Show is on the air, even in the middle of this national crisis. Power failures everywhere, martial law, civilization falling all around us. We are still broadcasting in spite of the sequester here on the Kris Koback Show. We're not letting any sequester stop us, even though it has brought the country to its knees. We are going to keep going, fighting for you, for truth, justice, and the American way. And somehow, we will survive, even though the federal government has seen a 2.4% cut in its budget. Somehow, we will push through in spite of the chaos that is the sequester. Well, here we are, 2 days into the sequester, and we were warned of the apocalypse, and kind of seems like everything's okay around here, and pretty much everywhere in the country. Yeah, President Obama told us that it would be unthinkable what would happen if these across-the-board cuts happened, and, well, I'm still thinking, and I imagine you are too, and everything seems pretty rational. I mean, sure, some of the cuts aren't ideal, but not that huge a cut, really. And we'll need cuts 10 times that big in the next few years if we're going to stop stealing from our children and grandchildren and borrowing from the Chinese. So the sequester has become the big non-event of the week. Of course, they tried one last effort in the Obama administration to make it a big event, and we're going to talk about that as the first story found in the Kris Koback Show. The decision by the Department of Homeland Security to release thousands of illegal aliens from detention because of anticipated cuts. They did this 2 days before the sequester even hit. They said, we're going to have to, in anticipation of the dire financial situation, we're going to have to start releasing illegal aliens who are in detention. Now, let me clarify what exactly these illegal aliens are. And I speak as someone who was involved in making illegal immigration policy under the Bush administration. We detain a very tiny percentage of the illegal aliens who are in removal proceedings, roughly 10%, 30-some thousand at any given time. Between 30 and 40,000 illegal aliens are in detention. The rest of the tens of thousands, indeed hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens who are in deportation proceedings, they're not being detained. They're on their honor to come to court, to the immigration court, on their honor. And guess what? Many of them don't show, or if the judge says, you're out of here, they ignore their removal letter. Oh, you thought removal meant that someone came with handcuffs and took the illegal alien to the border immediately? No. We have an honor system in America. But about 10%, a little less than 10%, of the illegal aliens in removal proceedings are detained. And those are the ones with serious criminal records or extraordinary indicia in their records indicating that they are a huge flight risk. They are a problem. They are not your illegal alien who's just come here for a better life. These are criminals. These are illegal alien robbers, arsonists, drug dealers. These are bad guys. These are not your poor illegal aliens who just want a better chance at life. These are illegal aliens who are the worst of the worst. And the Obama administration decided that they want to turn them loose to make a point about sequesters. Now, let me say one thing right off the bat. It was not necessary to turn them loose at all. There is so much fat in the budget of the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically in the budget of ICE even. It's one of the few agencies that can use more resources, but there's plenty of fat. The travel budget can be cut out. You can say no agency travel, period. Get rid of all the executive travel. Get rid of all the conferences. You get rid of all that. Vehicles. All kinds of things can be cut out of the budget that could easily get you to your 2 to 3% cut that you need. Oh, and by the way, did you know that when the government shutdown occurred back in the 1990s, I'm talking about the shutdown, federal government shutting down. You may recall that they said certain emergency services will, of course, not be shut down. What were they in 1996? They were, among other things, deportation and detention of illegal aliens. That's kind of one of those things that you don't close a federal prison if the government is shut down. So those are the highest level government services, detaining dangerous aliens. And even in the government shutdown of the 90s, no illegal aliens were let go. But this administration, Barack Hussein Obama's administration, decides that to make a political point, they will shut down what even was kept going during the shutdown of the government shutdown of the 90s. That's how extraordinary, how extreme, how bizarre this president is. And bizarre is the word. There's no way you would do this. I mean, this is one step short of just saying, yeah, we're going to let all of our federal prisoners just take off. Yeah, we have to open up the pen. Yeah, I can't afford to pay our wardens. I mean, that's just one level higher in ridiculousness. There are certain federal programs that will continue because they're a very small percentage of the budget, but they are absolutely essential. One of them is you keep the bad guys locked up. But this president, his administration uses that as a tool to scare the American people into cutting the budget. Is this asinine or what? It's either asinine or idiotic or deeply, deeply troubling. Or maybe it's all three. What do you think? 576-7710 to reach the Kris Koback Show. Scaring us by releasing illegal alien criminals. Really, Mr. President? Really? What are you people smoking in the administration? Have you moved the administration to Colorado, and are you all lighting up and toking every day of the week? This is craziness. And they're doing it just to scare us into thinking the sequester was a big deal. Well, guess what? It wasn't a big deal. So I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled at what this president is doing. So first question, are you as upset about it as I am? I mean, this is just brazen abuse of power. You don't release dangerous people onto the streets to scare American citizens into thinking your policies are right. You know, at some point there's a line you don't cross if you are a decent leader who doesn't abuse his power. I would say this president, his administration, crossed that line. This is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I mean, if this could rise to the problem with impeachment is high crimes and misdemeanors has a historical meaning, and there's no specific crime that the president is. Well, there may be, actually, because some of those aliens may be required to be detained under federal law. We need to know more. We do need to know more. There may be actually a federal crime if the president is not violating a federal law that requires those aliens to be in. But this is impeachment stuff. If there's a high crime or misdemeanor, this I would say rises to impeachment. You do not endanger the American public to make a point. That's insane. 576-7710. Am I wrong? Call me and tell me why I'm wrong. If you think that was a good idea, I want to hear it. Bring it on, please. Anybody who thinks it's a good idea
Love to hear your reasoning. I'll be nice. I won't bite. I want to hear it because I think this president, his administration has gone off the deep end. And did you see the way Napolitano ran away from the story? Oh, I didn't know. It wasn't my decision. I didn't know. Baloney. Speaking as someone who used to be, when the Justice Department was the equivalent to the Department of Homeland Security, when we ran the INS, there is no way thousands of illegal aliens would be released without the Attorney General, or in this case, the Secretary of Homeland Security knowing it. Implausible. You cannot make a decision of that magnitude without the Secretary knowing. Cannot. It's unfathomable how the Secretary could not know. Furthermore, it's unfathomable how the President could not know. Now, the President hasn't denied it. No one in the White House, to my knowledge, has said, I don't know, I haven't heard of any denials that the President, somebody very low in the totem pole did this. Baloney. This is a huge decision. 576-7710. Let's talk about it. We'll be back in a few minutes here on the Kris Koback Show.
KCMO, Kansas City's home of Michael Savage.
They've confused sexual liberation with far more important liberations, and that's a great, great scam in order to imprison an entire generation, which is to turn them all into sexually promiscuous beings and then tell them do whatever they want and let them think they're free, and then to hobble them with socialism.
The Savage Nation, weekdays 8 to 11 on KCMO Talk Radio 710 and 103.7 FM. Where Kansas City talks. Talk Radio 710, now at 103.7 FM.
I'm Elena. I have a master's degree in giving hope to children in Ethiopia.
I'm John. My farm experience helped villagers in the Philippines feed themselves.
I'm Nanaya. I have a degree in making an impact for generations to come.
If you have a degree in agriculture, the environment, or teaching English, you actually have a degree in doing more than you ever thought possible. Peace Corps volunteers can truly make a difference in the lives of people all over the world. With your skills and education, you could help create an irrigation system for a small village in Paraguay, or share new teaching methods to educators in Moldova. The experiences you'll gain in the Peace Corps will stay with you forever. This is your chance to make a real difference, a difference only you can make. Explore how the Peace Corps can fit into your future. Visit peacecorps.gov.
My resume
now includes changing lives.
Kids have the craziest ideas about food. Where do they get this stuff? Like eating Brussels sprouts helps you hit home runs. And eating carrots gives you X-ray vision. It's nuts. And I honestly have no idea where my daughter got this notion that broccoli is the official food of professional ballerinas. Kids, the only reason my 4-year-old loves cantaloupe is because he's convinced it comes from the moon.
One small step for man, lots of potassium for mankind.
And the other day when my oldest came up to me and said, Mom, will eating peas and carrots really help me pull off a fakey frontside ollie with a twist? I look him in the eye and say, it can't hurt, honey. It can't hurt.
Moms everywhere are finding creative ways to help their kids eat 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We first opened about 10 years ago. We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans. But in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
KCMO Talk Radio is Mark Levin.
Flat out Marxist Statist Party.
Weekdays 5 to 8 on KCMO Talk Radio 710 and 103.7 FM.
Yeah, we're back on the air. The Kris Koback Show still broadcasting, despite the collapse of civilization after the sequester. Still coming to you from the KCMO underground bunker here on 710 AM. Also available, I think we have the FM signal up too, despite the collapse of civilization. Yes, it's 103.7 FM. I'm not sure if the internet is still working or not. We'll have to consult Al Gore about that. But in the meantime, we are broadcasting, believe it or not, in spite of the sequester. And thanks to the hardworking men and women of the KCMO studio for removing us to this bunker location in spite of the mayhem and the chaos outdoors. But anyway, we were warned. We were warned by our good president, the teleprompter in chief. We were warned that things were going to get bad, and so his Department of Homeland Security a few days ago, before the sequester on Friday, they started releasing thousands of illegal aliens, criminal illegal aliens, dangerous illegal aliens into the streets, telling us that was necessary because of the impending 2 to 3% budget cuts, which is what it works out to be in reality. And, of course, it wasn't necessary. They could have cut all kinds of other things. I would say that this president has done something truly heinous. And if there is a crime committed, and we may yet find out that there has been, because I would warrant that some of these illegal aliens are required by federal law to be in detention. We don't know yet, because I'm sure none of the mainstream media has even bothered to do a FOIA request on this and get the names. At any rate, if there's a crime committed, this is high-level stuff. This is impeachment stuff, I think. What do you think? 576-7710. We got almost a full switchboard. One line available if you want to try to get it. But let's go first to Carl in Independence. Hey, Carl, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think?
Chris, I would like you to explain to me, if you can, how his actions are not treasonous. I believe they are.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, historically, treason, is a crime that it's a crime against one's nation, and usually, legally, it's an action to help a foreign government overthrow or make war against or injure one's home country. So, this is certainly stupidity. It endangers Americans. But out of the context of helping a foreign power, it's harder to characterize it as treason. But I'm not saying it doesn't rise to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor. We just need to know more. But I don't know. Treason, as a lawyer, this doesn't easily fit into the treason box.
Well, I appreciate talking to you, and God bless you for what you do, and keep up the good fight.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. All right. Let's go next to Kathy in Independence. Hey, Kathy, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think?
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
Well, listen, I'm really, it's encouraging to all of us that you're trying to carry on as much as you can, life as we know it, you know?
It's tough. It's really tough.
I know that.
In these post-sequester days, I don't know if there's food on the shelves at the supermarket or not, but
no,
I'm hoping there is.
It's gone, and in fact, there's a lot of sinkholes that just started opening, I'm telling you.
I've noticed that there's a lot of snow out there that hasn't been removed yet either. I think that's due to sequester.
That's exactly correct.
Aren't the federal plows gone now?
Well, I'm presuming, What can we say? But look, I'm so glad you brought this up, because here, doesn't it really, though, show Obama's extraordinary duplicity? This guy has been carrying on for the last, however many years, God help us, we're in our 5th year of that madman, and talking about how, there's nothing really illegal about what illegal aliens do, and they should never be put in jail because they're just salt of the earth, and we don't want to break up families and all the rest of it. Well, now, But he's given the lie to his own idiotic nonsense, because when he talks about horrible, disgusting, drastic things that are going to happen with the sequester, he all of a sudden tells the truth for the first time.
Yeah.
And he makes it clear, hey, letting out these illegal aliens is really bad and dangerous. Hello?
Yeah, well, thank goodness, Kathy, the mainstream media will point out his inconsistency. And,
I'm sure of it. And I'm waiting, of course, for Hilda Solis and La Raza. I'm sure they just haven't gotten through yet to the president.
Yeah.
To criticize him for being such a racist.
Yeah, it's a very good point, though. He is constantly telling us that illegal aliens, the vast majority don't pose any threat. But here we have some that he's telling us pose a huge threat. And boy, sure wish those nasty Republicans could have agreed to a tax increase to avoid
yes,
this.
of course. But it's wrong of you to criticize Napolitano, because remember that lawsuit that came out a while ago from that man who works in her office talking about how she and her psycho friends, are harassing men all the time and sexually abusing them. And she mentioned how I think that Napolitano and her other gal pals often get drunk and party. So, Napolitano can't be held to that level. She has to,
if you're intoxicated,
unwind.
Yeah, if you're intoxicated, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
It's a tough legal matter.
She's not lying when she says that, Chris.
That's right. If you were drunk at the time and you didn't,
right.
when you gave the order to release the dangerous criminal illegal aliens, did you really intend to do it? I don't know. It's recklessness, that's for sure. Okay, well, that's one legitimate explanation I've heard, that she was drunk at the time. I think that's more likely than them moving the federal government to Denver and all smoking pot when they decided.
Well, you know what? I think you're correct, sir.
All right. Well, thanks, Kathy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, what is your theory? And does anyone think this is a good reason? We'll talk about it after the break here on the Kris Koback Show. Give us a call, 576-7710. We'll be back in a few minutes here on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
The KCMO Morning Show with Greg Knapp.
Coming up Monday on the show, what's next for the sequester? The House Republicans looking to call Obama's bluff. I'll explain that. Meanwhile, the horse meat scandal goes to Taco Bell. Well, but not in America. And is it time to start getting free downloads of music from the library that you get to keep, not just borrow? How's that going to impact the industry? On the KCMO Morning Show.
Weekday mornings from 5 till 9 on KCMO Talk Radio 710. And now 103.7 FM.
Fox News Radio, I'm Jane Metzler. $85 billion in automatic spending cuts started kicking in Friday. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says they're not so bad and here to stay.
Lawmakers could rejigger the budget and the cuts that are coming from the sequestration process. That from Obama economic advisor Gene Sperling.
Fox Radio's Jill Nato, the president to nominate Sylvia Burwell to head the Office of Management and Budget. New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan on the meeting tomorrow ahead of the conclave that'll pick the next pope.
This will be a time not only that we begin to kind of get a good consensus on what are the major issues, the vision that we need, the mission of the church, but we'll get to know one another and probably decide which man we're going to elect to be the next successor of St. Peter.
Dolan on CBS's Face the Nation. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Your KCMO forecast from KCTV5.
Mostly cloudy skies tonight with temperatures falling through the 30s this evening. We'll drop to a low of 33 by sunrise Monday morning. Mostly cloudy as we start out the work week with a high of 45 on Monday afternoon. We have a 30% chance for rain showers on Monday evening and just a light wintry mix or a few light snow showers Monday night. I'm KCTV5 meteorologist Tom Walks.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You know that the ice cream scoop has the power to make a child smile, and that by slowing us down, the traffic light can keep us going. You know that the golf tee brings friends together, that the mailbox keeps them connected. You know that the cataract laser helps you look to the future, while the pacemaker ensures that there's a future to be seen. You know that the lawnmower, the clothes dryer, and the elevator make life easier, that the blood bank makes life possible. You know that these things we count on every day started as ideas. But did you know all these ideas came from the minds of African Americans? Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
We all share a common journey. We wanted to serve our country, stand for something bigger than ourselves, and protect the things we love. Although we were ready to face any mission, help those in need, and make a difference, for some of us, coming home was more of a challenge than we expected. In the service, we had each other's backs. But as veterans, it can sometimes feel like we're all alone, even when surrounded by our loved ones.
If you're a veteran or service member in crisis or know one who is, call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. Chat at veteranscrisisline.net or text 838-255.
KCMO Talk Radio 710. And now 103.7 FM. He's the ACLU's worst nightmare because he knows the Constitution and fights to keep them from making confetti of it. He's Kris Koback, and this is the Kris Koback Show.
Welcome back to the Kris Koback Show here on KCMO Talk Radio 710. We're talking about the Obama administration's decision to release dangerous illegal aliens, the worst of the worst, the 10% in removal proceedings who are so dangerous to the public that they are actually in prison, prison is the wrong word, in detention during their removal proceedings. And the Obama administration decides to release them before the sequester hits, just to show us how bad it would be. If you're just joining us, even during the government shutdown of the mid-'90s, that was one of the things that the federal government said is an emergency, the keeping of detained federal prisoners, whether they be illegal aliens or inmates. That's something you didn't, even during the shutdown, we didn't shut that down. But this president does it before the sequester even hits. He could have done all kinds of things, easily cut 2-3% of the ICE budget through facilities maintenance, equipment maintenance, communications, executive travel. There are all kinds of things they could have cut. Or furloughed, people, but that you wouldn't even get to furloughs. You could easily cut it out, but no, they go to the most dangerous thing. I say this president, he's shown himself to be either drunk or incompetent, or just dangerous. You don't do that. You don't endanger the American public to make a political point. And we already know he likes to scare us. And fine, sure, heated political rhetoric to, tell about impending doom is, that's standard fare in politics. But you don't release rapists and gang members and drug dealers onto the American public just to make a point. I think this is outrageous. Anyone think he's got a good idea behind it? 576-7710. Okay, let's go back to the phones. First up, Eric and Shawnee. Hey, Eric, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think?
Hey, Chris. I really appreciate you talking about this on the air. God bless you for doing what you're doing. I look forward to listening to you some more tonight. But the best thing I could come up with is maybe one of these, in the future, a few more years of this, and by the time Obama's out of office, maybe we can all sit back and after they take all the jobs that Americans won't do, we can finally sit back on our easy chair and relax a little bit. I know it's not great, but
all of the criminal, all the criminal and other illegal aliens will perform our jobs for us, and we will just see government checks flowing in. Something like that.
You get my point, though. It's horrible, and I'll listen off the air. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Eric. I appreciate it. This is one job that this American will do. I will stay up and continue broadcasting on Sunday nights, even though civilization has come down around our ears because of the sequester. But let's go next to Carol in Kansas City. Hey, Carol, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think?
You said you wanted a good reason. I just have to tell you the reason I think. I think he's like a naughty little kid that didn't get his way.
He's throwing his toys in the air?
Oh, like they roll on the floor and kick? Well, this is his way to hurt us. This is his way, like a little kid wants to hurt their parents and make a scene. That's what he's doing.
You think so? Yeah, I suppose it's conceivable. I'm going to hurt those
Republicans.
Little
brat.
And then blame it on the Republicans. Hurt the American public and then blame it on the Republicans for their, not...
Because he's mad. They hurt him.
If we weren't 5 years into into the fifth year of the Obama administration with so many strange things happening, I would have said, I can't believe that explanation. But Carol, you might be right.
Well, look at him. Every time he gets on TV, the anger's just all over him.
Yeah. Well, he is our leader, and sometimes he has to lead us with anger. And so maybe we deserve it. That's probably what it is. We just deserve it. So I'm going to be more I'm just going to be a little bit quieter and more submissive to our teleprompter in chief. You're right. Yep, I deserve it, Carol. All right.
Okay, I do too.
All right. Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, let's go next to Mike in Blue Springs. Mike, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think?
Hi, Chris.
Hey.
I know exactly why he did it, and I truly believe, and I know there's a lot of other people that will 100% agree with me. Barack Obama has an agenda, and his agenda is to destroy this country. And as we've seen in the first 4 years, and as we'll see in the second 4 years, unless we find a way to get him out of there, that's exactly what the man's going to do. And the Republicans and the Democrats, people need to stand up to this man. That's why we put these people in office. The citizens, other than contacting their elected representatives, are really kind of, other than letters to the editor and all the above. But as far as impeaching this man or removing him from office, we can't do anything. One other thing, Chris.
Yeah.
If you would give me, if you would please, and all the other listeners, per the Constitution, what is the definition, the constitutional definition of high crimes and misdemeanors?
The Constitution itself doesn't actually contain a definition of it, and so it's sort of a common law element. By that I mean, you then go to judicial decisions to look for what the answers are to those terms.
Okay, well, I guess that's what I'm getting at, driving at.
Well,
what
basically,
is
I think it's the way it's normally been interpreted is that pretty much any felony, certainly. Because if there's a high misdemeanor, there's high crimes and misdemeanors and high misdemeanors. Yeah, I think most lawyers would agree that any felony would rise to the level. So
does it have to be a felony though? Does it have to be a felenifelony? If the answer is no.
The answer is no, because obviously high misdemeanors. Now that's a tougher question. What is a high misdemeanor? I'd have to actually do some. I've never heard anyone try to define that phrase for me, and it's an odd one. And it's not one we use in today's lawyering. It's more of a 18th century phrase.
Been addressed in the Supreme Court or
probably not in the Supreme Court because there haven't been that many cases about impeachment. But I'm sure there have been some law review articles trying to define what the term a high misdemeanor is.
Again, I just got to ask, where are we going to draw the line? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is we all know the analogy about the frog and the pot of water.
Yeah.
And it just seems like about every other day it gets turned up another notch. And I guess once we see our country totally destroyed, then our elected representatives and a lot of other people that won't be outspoken like yourself, myself, and a lot of others. I guess maybe then they'll start saying something, but I think it's going to be too late if it's not already.
The frog analogy is a good one here. I mean, this is in itself. I don't know. I mean, this is something that in and of itself is enough that it should shock America. But maybe we're so. I don't know. Maybe the president has figured out that he can get away with just about anything.
Oh, I definitely think he's figured that out.
Yeah. There's no shame in the White House. There's no sense of proportion, or we can't possibly do that.
When you have agendas, that's and I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but that's I believe, honest to God, that this is his agenda, and I've felt this way for a long, long time. And until somebody steps up to the plate, and what I mean by that is our elected representatives, and challenges him in a legal way, which is, I believe, the only way that this is going to happen. Yeah. And this is way beyond a Republican Democrat thing. If there's Democrats out there that constantly, continuously condone what this individual has done to our country, and if they can't see what's transpired and what's going to transpire, then, man, we're in a hell of a lot worse shape than what I thought we were.
Well, we are reliant upon the two other branches of government at this point to put roadblocks up. And I'm trying, as you know, I'm representing the 10 ICE agents that are suing Janet Napolitano over the illegal executive amnesty, and we may have an answer next month.
Well, and God wants, we have to pray to God about all this, and I understand that, and I absolutely agree with that. But by the same token, I believe God is saying, hey, you people are responsible, and you've got to, straighten up this mess yourself. And I'm not in any way insinuating, because I know there's people out there that are saying this right now, well, that God has something about Hispanics or whatever the nationality may be. That's not what I said at all. What I'm saying is illegal's illegal, and right is right, and wrong is wrong. And when we get to the point where wrong is right, then and I think that's kind of covered in the Bible also. We got big problems, and people need to not only talk about this, we got to start addressing this while we still can.
Respect for the rule of law is absolutely in the Bible. Just read the book of Romans, and that's why this notion that somehow the illegal immigration is something that is biblically compelled or should be tolerated is but I could do a whole show on that, the Old Testament lines about the stranger. Bottom line though, the president at least should be following the law, and the president should be protecting his citizens, but he's not doing that. He's violating the law, and he's endangering his citizens.
Yeah. It's I don't know, it's and I'm glad that we're all talking about it, and your program is a place to do that, but we got to, the rubber needs to hit the road.
Well, yeah, I agree, and I hope Americans are waking up. I mean, this was just this was a crossing of the line. Well, hey, Mike, we got to take a quick break. Thanks again for the call. I really appreciate it. You too. All right, folks, we'll keep talking about this. We got one line open, 576-7710 if you want it. Has the president crossed the line with this one for you? Or do you have a reason maybe why what the president did was a good idea? Call in to the Kris Koback Show on KCMO, Talk Radio 710.
KCMO, Kansas City's home of Sean Hannity.
We have a moral obligation not to rob future generations. You don't rob from your kid's piggy bank. You don't rob from your grandkids' piggy bank. And that's what this country is doing. We're borrowing 40 cents of every dollar we spend. We have no desire, seemingly, to get our books in balance.
Hannity, weekdays 2 till 5 on KCMO Talk Radio 710 and 103.7 FM.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. This report reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your hard-earned money in the Wall Street casino. How you can bypass banks and credit cards and become your own source of financing, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. And it beats the pants off any IRA or 401k. To learn more about this method and to get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com right now. That's bankonyourself.com. www.bankonyourself.com.
You're struggling with your mortgage. You think about it. You don't do anything but think about it.
What are we going to do if we lose the house? Where are we going to go?
At work.
I can't let anybody find out. I'm so embarrassed.
At dinner.
How can I tell the kids? It's going to wreck their lives.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get through this. What's going to happen to us?
It's time to stop thinking. It's time to start dialing. Call 1-888-995-HOPE for a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options.
I'm all alone.
No, you're not. We've helped over 1 million homeowners, and we want to help you. And now there are more ways to help. But the program ends soon. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
We don't know what's going on with our daughter. We're worried that she might be drinking or taking something else. My husband saw cans and bottles in the back of her friend's car, but we don't know how to talk to her about it. She's been keeping her life a big secret. I was uncomfortable when a friend asked me how our daughter's doing, so I pretended everything is okay, and realized that now I'm keeping secrets too. My therapist suggested we try Al-Anon family groups. I'm glad we took her advice. It helps to talk with people who understand what you're going through because they've gone through the same thing. Are you troubled by someone's drinking? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or visit alanonfamilygroups.org.
My name is Sue Smith. I'm 38 years old, and I work at a graphic design company, which is funny, because I couldn't even draw a stick figure when I was a kid. But I met someone who told me, you know what? You can do anything if you really want to. And if the teenage me were here, she'd tell you,
I wouldn't be into drawing and art if it wasn't for big brothers, big sisters. Most kids from my neighborhood don't get into art. They get into trouble. But I was lucky because my big sister showed me early on that I didn't have to be like most people. And to the young me,
that meant a lot. My big sister's name is Sheila, and Sheila is the reason that this 8-year-old grows up to have an amazing job as a graphic designer.
Whether you donate money or time, you're helping Big Brothers Big Sisters help a child. And that can last a lifetime. Start something today at bigbrothersbigsisters.org. Brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters and the Ad Council.
Today in school I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
KCMO is Talk Radio 710 and now 103.7 FM. Something's happening. Know what that is? You will with KCMO.
Welcome back to the Kris Koback Show on KCMO Talk Radio 710, where we're talking about the teleprompter-in-chief's decision, or I don't know whose decision it was. Somebody up there in the upper echelons of the Obama administration decides to let criminal illegal aliens loose to make a point to you silly members of the American public who don't see what a bad deal the sequester is. He's going to scare you by turning loose onto the American streets drug dealers, gang members, rapists, the worst of the criminal illegal alien population, going to release them from detention and during their removal proceedings. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even mention this. it's now high. One of the reasons you detain the most dangerous illegal aliens is to actually make sure they show up for their removal proceedings. Methinks a large number of these are not going to show up, because when you have that severe a level of criminal offense, in addition to your immigration violations, any liberal immigration attorney listening will agree with me. You don't have a prayer of staying in the country. All you can do is make some completely bogus asylum claim up, which will also get rejected. And so these people are going to lose their immigration cases. They are going to skip the court hearing anyway. And so we've pretty much guaranteed that they're not going to be deported. They're going to remain in the country, and they're dangerous. Thank you, Mr. President. All right, let's talk about it. Next up, Jeremy in Kansas City. Hey, Jeremy, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think?
I just earlier today I noticed that you were talking about marijuana. They must have been going to Colorado and getting high or something.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I don't think they're getting high on marijuana. Either it's crack or it's methamphetamines that they got to be getting high on.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah.
This is this is not just a low level irrational decision. This is a level of very high strained rationality. So good point. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not rational thinking. That's for sure.
Right. Well, the thing is, marijuana, you're not going to just automatically release a whole bunch of illegal immigrants that are just, rapists, murderers, or any of the above, or whatever it is. And if we were to be in their country and we got locked up, we're not going to get freed. We're not going to be allowed to go out into the public of their country and just hope that we show up to their proceedings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe, Americans who are violating immigration laws abroad should start rallying for amnesty, carrying American flags around. And then if they have a sequester, there will be hope for those Americans, I guess.
Well, one of our flag days that we had, it showed the president's wife saying all this for a flag. You can find it on YouTube. It's a little video. It shows the American flag and they're marching. Yeah. And they've also got bagpipes, and they're doing the American flag, bringing it up onto a big stage or something. And anyway, the American president's wife looks over at the President Obama and says, you can see it worded. You can't hear her say it, but you can very, very clearly see that she says all this for a flag. And the president just kind of makes a goofy look of, yep.
Wow. Interesting.
So, yeah.
That's
try looking it up or something, seriously.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go next to Craig in Prairie Village. Hey, Craig, you're on with Kris Koback. What do you think, Craig?
He took an oath of office to uphold the constitutions and the laws of the land.
Yes, he did.
And we know how many rule of laws he's broken, starting with, I'm not sure if it's starting, but with the oil spill, ignoring court orders, ignoring the enforcement of immigration laws.
Fast and Furious,
Fast and Furious. We go on and on and on down the line. And I contend now, I would like to see you do a whole show on how many times he's broken the rule of law, but
it would take more than a 2-hour show, I think, to cover all of those. But go ahead.
Yeah, but in this scenario where you let out criminals into the public, that's aiding and abetting. And I know that if you're in a car unknowingly and someone goes in and robs a liquor store, 7-Eleven at gunpoint, you're an accessory, to that. And here he's letting people out that have committed crimes. And now if they commit others, is he as guilty as they are? I think that's a point of...
In a court of law, he wouldn't be found guilty, but I'll tell you this, Craig, you raise an interesting point. Are there any media outlets who are going to FOIA the names of these illegal aliens and then point out when they do kill somebody else, or when they do rape somebody, or when they do break in somewhere, and say, that was a crime that could have been prevented had the president not made his political stunt of a point. So a very good point. I mean, there is going to be culpability here, if not legal culpability, then certainly moral culpability in this administration when these illegal aliens go on to do some heinous acts. But
he's also using his favorite trick, like in Benghazi. My gosh, I don't know. I don't know why we did it. I don't know. I mean, and then walks away.
Yeah.
He's not somebody it's funny, if somebody let these people out and I was president and they're under my watch, I want to know who they are. Are they being corrected? Or are they fighting?
I cannot imagine, when I was in the Bush administration, I cannot imagine a decision of this magnitude being done without the president and the relevant secretary or attorney general knowing. So the idea that nobody knew who did this is crazy. Hey, Craig, thanks for the call. Real quickly, Jeff, before we leave this issue, you're on for about 40 seconds. What do you think, Jeff?
Okay, I think President Obama, my hat's off to him. It was a stroke of genius on his part to make 3% a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
At the same time, when we're borrowing 46 cents out of every dollar and making it a molehill when it should be a mountain.
Very good point.
And it's just, I think, and he's so much smarter and intelligent than what Reagan was or Bush, any of the Bushes were. That's why he can go ahead and release these prisoners from prison and not be held accountable for it.
Well, we're holding him accountable here on this show. I appreciate the call, Jeff. We got to go. All right, folks, we'll be back, and we'll be turning the page in a few moments here on the Kris Koback Show on KCMO.